All People's Radio on 96.1 on the dial in East Oakland, Huchin territory. Streaming live online at www.poormagazine.org/radio. This is Muteado Silencio con voces de migrantes en resistencia. In studio with fellow formerly houseless Popoe and poverty scholar Micanala Tiny and youth poverty scholar Tiburcio Garcia on the ones and twos.
It's okay. This is what all fathers do. It's okay. Don't tell anyone it's our secret. It's okay. It's part of your job. This is a massage. It's okay. This is how you learn to become a woman. It's okay. This is how you learn to become a man. It's okay. It feels good. It's okay. You're helping me. I'm lonely. It's okay. I love you. You're so beautiful. Look at what you made me do. You're a witch. Don't tell your mama or I'll kill you and her too. Grief, shame, terror, shame, grief, terror, shame, tears, sorrow, rage, grief. No, I can't hold this weight of loss of soul, comprehend these lies I keep being told by people I was told to trust. My fathers, mothers, uncles, brothers, coaches, leaders, bosses, mentors, teachers, others still to come.
You just heard an excerpt of It's Too Quiet Here, Poverty Scholars Podcast. From survivors, to hear the whole podcast, you could go to poormagazine.org/radio or find the podcast from Poverty Scholar on SoundCloud or wherever you get your podcast from. Black woman artists resist. On today's podcast of Poor People's Radio, we hear from powerful black women in business in Emeryville under attack instead of being supported, loved, and lifted by a city who claims to want to support art and artists. Then onto a swept by La Migra and DPW, leading up to art crushing wheelchair special screening for Luis Góngora Pat in San Francisco, Yelamo, a houseless indigenous migrant father killed by the San Francisco PD for being houseless, and Brown in San Francisco. We look at the connections between the sweeps and the harassment and criminalization of houseless and sweeps and kidnapping of indigenous migrant, indigenous refugees communities by ICE Customs. To discuss, we speak to comrades in Vanguard from Los Angeles, LA Street Care, then onto this week's segment of Dr. Sweet on the Epstein Wars in Iran, Palestine, and beyond. Then a report from an actual solution to homelessness created by houseless people for houseless folks. People living right here in Huchun with our Wood Street Commons family. And finally, a report from Poor Magazine family in Hawaii on the devastating floods and all of that and much more. But first, a Ruthless Radio report from Huchin from Sister Poverty Scholar Teresa.
You had her the first time, Tio. That's it.
When I passed inspection, the job orders were done. The house is contaminated from hazardous chemicals. All kinds of stuff is going on. So
And this is housing?
this is through housing,
East or West Oakland?
East Oakland, and it's horrible.
Wow.
And I've never been treated like that before. And also, there's the neighbors from hell that I don't even know,
Right.
and they're allowing these people to harass me because I don't know, they're not doing anything about them harassing me at all. City and county of Oakland are not doing anything either. They're not relocating me. They're not doing code compliance.
And what kind of things have you done to fight back? Have you been sending letters, calling people? What?
Everything, everything, no help at all. But up until a month ago, they started trying to cover themselves by sending me paperwork like they've been compliant all this time. There is no carbon monoxide detector inside the house. They put that in a month ago, and it started hanging off the wall just like that by itself. And I took it down, and it chirps like a fire smoke detector. So there's never been a carbon monoxide detector in there. And I do have, there's residue all over the house, in the rugs, on the walls from the film, from the hazardous chemicals that were being blown through the heater vents.
So Sister Teresa, Sister Teresa is just one of our Ruthless Radio reporters currently houseless because the poor people housing that we do get, if we're lucky enough to get the crumb, is oftentimes uninhabitable, unlivable. And this is why we do the Lie of Rent Fund. I don't know if you could bring that flyer up to you, but um, it's an emergency out here. There's 7 relatives at our street newsroom yesterday, and this is the only way because the city ain't doing nothing, and the state is sweeping us like we're trash, and the scamblers continue to evict and harass every poor person they get. Um, yeah, this is not the way that Mother Earth and our ancestors intended for us to live, and that's why we work so hard to lift up unity reparations and radical redistribution, because we know that we as a community are all we got. So anyway, for folks who are able to support, we appreciate it. And all that to say, it's a perfect segue to our beautiful next guests. We know that these settler governments aren't trying to support us, and oftentimes there's subtle ways that racism and classism plays out in what I call, well, I'm not going to say that on the air on the FCC dial, but gentrification, removal, not supporting, even though they claim, a lot of these cities claim to want to support art. So right here in occupied Ochun, there's a town known as Emeryville. Emeryville for a long time has been, you know, a place of a lot of tech and so-called art. Tends to be art that isn't created by the community. But we have the blessing of having some beautiful sisters on today, who are actually lifting that true notion of art and community into that place called Emeryville. Welcome, Empress and Tracy, to Poor People's Radio.
Thank
Greetings,
you.
Grand
Thank you
Rising.
so much. Grand Rising.
Ashe. Empress, we can start with you. Tell us about this beautiful business slash community space you've created. That sounds amazing. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I have created
You're on mute.
the Chocolate Mama. Am I muted?
No, we hear you.
Okay. I have created the Chocolate Mama Cookie Co. And we specialize in a very special cookie dough that is vegan, gluten free, and grain free. I also, in I had to reclassify my business when I moved into this space. And I opened up, along with Chocolate Mama Cookie Co., the Cocoa Mama Boutique House, which is an event community hub. And it is a space, excuse me, where we have various small businesses and artisans who have their art and items in the store for the community to purchase.
Hmm. Wow, that's amazing. And so what's been happening?
So I moved in here in June after being flooded out of my original unit in the same development, which is called the Emery. And in June, I moved in here and I had to completely start everything all over because of the flooding. When August came around, I had a soft opening that was beautiful. The community showed up. Um, everyone was able to try our products. And then in October, actually specifically October the 12th, the police was called on us during our very peaceful community gathering of about 20 people inside my unit that I pay for. And so when the Emeryville PD showed up, they said that they got a call that we were illegally disturbing, we were illegally in a space and disturbing the peace.
Wow.
Okay. And as they clearly saw that we were not, and they left, they apologized. And then after our event was um, beautifully celebrated, the neighbors pulled out their speaker and blasted our guest out. Now, the thing about it is, this neighbor is not just a neighbor. He also sits on the housing commission for the city of Emeryville. Now, I didn't call the police on him because I was busy serving my community. But the fact that three cops showed up because he felt that he could, with his privilege, call the cops to try to stop us from gathering, which is what
Hmm.
it was unacceptable.
Mm.
And on October 28th, after I requested the California Public Records recently, I found out that not only was the police called, but he also gathered with three of his friends who also stay at the Emory, and they filed a 37-page investigation request on me and my business. And
Wow.
Wow.
I don't just run my business out of here. This is a live work. So the city of Emeryville has created this program that's called the Live Work, where we have our zoning is hybrid. And what I'm finding out is that no one really thought this program through. And what they are really doing is using us as guinea pigs, but penalizing us at the same time based on complaints from neighbors.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, I dare. Do we need to say? I mean, are we talking about racism here, low key or high key? And
Yes,
okay,
Mm,
absolutely, it's racism.
mm.
I mean, I've been an Afro-Indigenous woman all my life,
okay,
and I am 45 years old, and my mom is 73. So I am not at all confused about how racism, discrimination, and bias looks, racial bias
okay,
looks.
that part.
I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like
Okay.
inside my body.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And so not only is this racially biased and motivated behavior, the city and the property management is actually protecting these individuals. I have been before the city council not once, but twice. And I am also a part of the Emeryville Commerce Connection as a small business. These other people are not, until I went before the council, and then they, how they like to do. They like
mm,
to, do what they can to um, pretend.
mm-hmm.
This really, the California Public Records Act is a great thing, because when people are going behind your back to sabotage you, there's a track record, especially when they're attaching the city to it.
I
And
see.
so what has happened is that they have been not truthful in how they describe me. They use terms like aggressive. They use terms like agitated. They use terms, like uh, conflict, things to describe me that my community know that very well that is not who I am.
Right,
But because of their privilege, and because they're weaponizing the city and their positions as commissioners, they are able to paint a picture of me, and that picture is able to support their lies. And I'm
right,
just saying their lies.
right.
And I have proof of it.
Let me just say a couple things. I want to bring in Sister Tracy, and I just want to say, though, before I do that, I don't know if you know, one of our extended family comrades, Jalen Brown, he's a Celtics basketball player. We only know him because he went to people school, cool young man. But it's really odd how much it reminds me of what happened to him. He tried to do a community forum in Beverly Hills, occupied Tavangar, totally peaceful, totally loving, totally community, and they basically called the cops on him. So let's not get it twisted. Racism and classism alive and well in America, KKK. Sister Tracy, family to Poor Magazine, teacher, warrior, sister, business warrior, Can you just talk a little bit of how this? I know you've been supporting Sister Empress, and just what would you like to say about this ridiculousness she's dealing with?
I really want to say that this is just really disheartening. Being in this situation, it's it's what has unraveled is really unsettling. It's especially at the time that we're in, with all of these things being exposed, and um, you know, it's just the safety issue is a huge issue for me. I've been in business for over 20 years, and I've never been attacked like this. And to be in community, to be with Empress, to watch her build a tribe, to build what we need, to be revolutionary in that, and to watch the constant blatant attacks. I'm 52 years old, and this form of racism is something that I have never seen. And I just never thought that we're trying to build generations for our children, our grandchildren, and to be attacked at such a low level is just it's really hurtful.
Yeah.
It's really hurtful.
In the so-called city that supports artists. I don't know, but if you wanted to add anything.
And we're on
Um,
stolen
yeah,
land, and we that's one
thank
of the
you.
Yes,
reasons why
exactly.
Empress went there, because there was a plan. It was to come back and revitalize that land. She grew up there. So it's not
Mm.
like she's not a transplant.
Hmm.
She was born from that ground. She was raised there. So she's just reclaiming the area, the land that her family has protected. They've been stewards on that
Oh,
land. And that's all we're asking, just to be able to exist. We've been
Hmm.
pushed to the edge of the water where there's nowhere else to go. So
Hmm.
we're fighting now, because you pushed
Yeah.
us to the edge of the bay. No more.
that part. That
And I
part.
also would like to add that the management, the management has not been supportive. They actually wrote a letter of support on letterhead supporting this this guy. Okay, they on letterhead. And so while I just want to back up for a little bit. On October 21st, my neighbor went to the city council and claimed I was running an illegal business. Now, a restaurant, an illegal restaurant, and the restaurant always raises a red flag when dealing with live works. So not only did the city come out to my space, not once, twice, three times, they came like every week. They reached out to the city county, and the city county came out and issued me two violations. One in October, and then the next one in November. In December. By December, I had to close my doors. I have not made any money on this space since October. Now, fast forward, the property management who wrote a letter of support to this individual, and he's a public servant, so I can go ahead and say his name.
Mm.
His name is James Jessup, James Brooks Jessup. He actually is a commissioner for the city of Emeryville. Um, he wrote property management wrote a letter of support for this guy, and they told me after several times saying, "Hey, I'm experiencing some racism, from harassment, and discrimination. Please intervene. This is not a neighborly dispute. This is beyond that." They told me I'm going to remain neutral. The management said we're not going to get into it. If
Wow.
you're going to remain neutral, you're going to remain neutral. You will not be writing us a letter of support for someone who's committed a crime against me, and then force me to move my chairs and my signage from outside of my space after giving me permission to do so. So
Wow.
I'm not only being attacked by my neighbors, but also the property management who allows this type of behavior to exist and trying to evict me at the same time.
Damn. Well, first of all, just so much love to you, sis, to be facing that mess. It really, yeah. I feel you, Tracy. It breaks my heart. I want to say this, listeners and viewers, is Sister Empress activating what we call Black Land Return. Okay, let's not get it twisted. When we have our chant, land back to honor our indigenous relatives, First Nations, and then we say Black land. There are two deep fissures and breakages in this so-called United Snakes, and one of them is the in constant theft of black and brown people's homes by racist systems like this, businesses, homes, survival, livelihood. And then the other one, of course, is the original theft. So let's not get it twisted. This is a very important story, and everybody needs to stand behind you. What are our what do people need to do? What are our steps? What do listeners and viewers need to do to support you, sis?
Well, I would say please follow me on Instagram because I have posted my letter to the Tatler. I wouldn't have been able to get my story out if the Tatler wouldn't have published my letter, which has an introduction of pretty much what I've been going through. And then also on my Instagram, there's a link, a GoFundMe link that will allow me to stay in this space and also get some legal representation. They have lawyers. They have access to those things. So when I filed my harassment suit against them, they wouldn't got lawyers. I don't have that. I just have my proof. And so you can find that. And then also the biggest
Wait,
thing is
wait, before you say any more, what's the Instagram Insta scam that people
the
need to
the,
follow?
the instant scam is I love it. At chocolate mama cookies. And
Okay.
that's one word, chocolate mama cookies.
Okay, go ahead,
And
answer.
in the link. And then also come down to the Coco Mama Boutique House and experience what we are building. Experience the future because that we are futurists. The things that we're doing now is going to impact the future directly. And
Ashe.
so if you come out, you can rent the space, you can buy cookies, you can come to any of our events that we have to check them on our website at chocolatemamacookies.com. And then also, when you read the story on my Instagram, please share it. I think the
Okay.
biggest benefit is that people hear the story and understand exactly what's going on because they have been trying to silence me, and I am not going to allow it. And
Okay.
that's why these platforms are so important.
Can we just quickly, because we're running out of time, but can you also say, you said this person's name, but can you say would it help to have letters to management or to city council? Because I think it
Absolutely.
would. So we're talking about Emeryville, so-called Emeryville, right?
Yes.
And that's the city council. And please send emails, letters, calls, support, support. I support the Chocolate Mama Cookie, business. This needs to happen in Emeryville. You need to stop, practicing racism in Emeryville. Like, let's get clear about that call out. And then also, do you want to tell us the name of management? Because they just hella whack to me.
Yes, the Emory.
Okay,
That's
spell it.
the building. Lennar owns it.
Oh,
And then also the property management is called Frontera.
okay. You only had to say the L word to me. They have a history of destroying and evicting and harassing poor people of color and creating more what I call development. So yeah, hello. All roads lead back to those hells. Okay, but we are going to operate, we're going to activate to liberate, to support Sister Empress, Chocolate Mama Cookie. Follow them on Instascam. Go to their website, buy their beautiful cookies. I just want to have some of those cookies. You got me hungry, okay?
And Saturday we will be open. The cafe will be open from 11 until 6. She's going to have the space activated. So if people want to come by, they're going to be having some stuff going on in the city in Reveal. So we're going to activate as much as possible. So we will be there from 11 to 6. If you want to come check out the cafe, come check out the art that's there, come check out the
What's your
space.
what's your address real quick, hon?
4310 Hubbard Street, Emeryville, California, Unit 102, which sits on Sherwin Avenue.
4310 Hubbard Avenue, Unit 10. And
Unit
it's
102.
102, sorry.
But
102,
everything can
yeah,
be found on the
102.
Instagram and the website.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. You heard it, family. You need to support these beautiful relatives actually
Yes.
activating to liberate and creating art and
Thank
being
you.
racially profiled in so called Emeryville. What? Hello. Thank you, family. We love you so much.
Thank you, Ashe Mateo. Thank
All
you so
right.
Well,
much.
Mateo.
Peace.
Ashe, Ashe. You're listening and watching Poor People's Radio. This PNN, not CNN. We tell the truth even when it hurts. And we are asking our listeners and viewers to support Chocolate Mama Cookie and all the relatives being attacked for no damn reason except this stolen land and this racism and these, what else? Who trying to do all this? You already know. So having said that, we are in a deep struggle with so many different things. What I want to lift up is just that it is so important for listeners and viewers to activate, to liberate, because we are all we got.
Thank you, Tiny. Thank you, Auntie Tracy, for the community work, artist work, revolutionary work. We are poor, houseless folks have actually solutions. Do people actually listen to them? Here is one of them.
Hey, John, where are we at?
We're at the lot. Well, we're calling it the lot. It's on 4th and what street is that? Excuse me, 4th and Oak,
Yes.
right next to the freeway. It's one of Laney College's overflow parking lots on the side at a dead end.
And what's happening here?
Well, it's an RV community, and it basically sprouted out after people were getting evicted throughout different areas of Oakland and stuff. One of our team members, you could say, leadership, Jazz, basically needed a place to bring people. People needed a place to go, so Jazz brought them to this empty lot that wasn't being utilized by anybody. No disrespect to Laney College, but it wasn't being utilized, so we brought them here. So now they got a thriving community. We're trying to, I guess, help them move to the next level of being organized, because we're in negotiations, conversations with the Laney College, with actually, hopefully, allowing people to, I guess you can say, legally be able to stay here, for, let's just 0 to maybe 5 years. We're hopefully adding on, running water, electricity, trash removal service, a little cooking area for everybody, organizing the RVs so that they're legally spaced out, regulations for the fire department, the city of Oakland and stuff, and bringing in shipping container bathrooms and showers and stuff, so that people can stay here and not be worried about eviction, being evicted, and just scattered around throughout the city while they work on finding permanent housing for them.
Akshay, and Laney's okay with it so far?
Laney's okay with it so far. We're optimistic about it because Laney College hasn't asked for their removal of the people that are here. And the conversation that we had with the Vice Chancellor a couple of weeks ago, they actually, I don't know if people know, but Laney College has a tiny home construction class where they make tiny homes in the construction class. And they actually opened up a tiny home village for about 20 unhoused students, if I'm not mistaken, in Santa Rosa. So I think they have dealt with people being unhoused, and they really do understand that a lot of their students that are here are unhoused and don't have a place to live and are living in their car and stuff. So I think they're really sympathetic to what's going on here, and I think they really do want to try to find a way to work with the people that are here versus just, putting them back out on the street.
That's called a poor people-led solution. We've got solutions we can create ourselves if given the ability to do so.
Yep. So true. Thank you, Hopefulness. Seriously, though.
Yeah, you heard it. When we poor folks come up with solutions actually informed by us, created, in collaboration with institutions who actually hear us. Shout out to Laney College, thank you. We can make solutions actually happen. They're sweeping us like we're trash. They are violently and continuing to sweep us like we're trash. Let's not get it twisted. From Occupy Delamu to Occupy Uchun. And please don't listen to the politricksters. They'll sing you a tune. The reality is that violence continues. We have endless amounts of relatives right now who are just trying to run around and try to put in motel rooms and raise the lie of rent fund to do anything. Because, the city's not doing ish. So I just want to shout out, thank you, Wood Street Commons, all the love. We're going to continue to work with these relatives to lift up their own solution, and we hope that it continues. Having that said, uh, again, our bodies are violently swept every day, all across occupied Turtle Island, because that's all the settlers have as a solution to homelessness. And we're blessed to have fellow truth tellers, warriors from occupied Tavangar, aka LA, for those of you who don't know, on the line with us as we try to build a homefulness in Tavangar. And shout out to Edna Street Solidarity and Paisley and Carla and Jelly and all the warriors who are dealing with that violence in that settler town. Welcome, LA Street Care. How you doing?
Doing pretty well, thank you. How are you?
All right, all right. So glad you made it. Thank you for coming in.
Of course.
Yeah, so can you tell listeners and viewers you were recently lifting up the connections between these violent sweeps that are continually perpetrated on our houseless bodies and the kidnapping sweeps and criminalization that continues to happen on stolen land of indigenous relatives from the other side of the false borders, right?
Yeah.
And you've been just lifting those connections up. This is something we've been screaming about for years. It's coming in a clear view in the story of Luis Gungara Pat, it's one of the reasons we made the movie that we did, Crushing Wheelchairs, but, you know, murdered by SFPD essentially because they were called on by a gentrifier who just didn't understand what was going on. And then, of course, the cops come and show up and end his life. And this happens a lot, not to mention the violence of these false border, ICE agents and the ways they attack and the sort of the ways oftentimes when they're absolutely connected. Go ahead, tell us what your framework is on that you've been talking about.
Yeah, so um obviously a lot of people who have not been politically engaged the past few years um are very focused on Trump and immigration, and uh we wanted to spotlight the different ways that uh, undocumented and unhoused people, the struggles are interconnected. Obviously, all of our struggles are interconnected, but we really have to spell it out for a lot of people. Um, and sort of our framework is that no person should be criminalized for their housing status. No person should be evicted for um, their immigration status. No person should be criminalized, period. No person should be evicted, period. Um, but first and foremost, I think a lot of the time people have um, a difficult time understanding that people can have overlapping experiences. So um, in this area, about 10% of unhoused people are undocumented, and there isn't a lot of official data on that for people's protection from the federal government. But uh, you know, as people can't go to work because it's not safe, and as um, landlords are targeting undocumented people, as the Trump administration is targeting mixed status families in public housing and subsidized housing. Um, the that overlap is increasing more and more every day. So these issues really are becoming more of a circle in the Venn diagram. But uh, as the city sweeps people, we know that they destroy people's IDs, their documents, their paperwork every day. We hear it every day. We do surveys after sweeps, um, and uh, you know we know that ICE, DHS racially profiles people. The courts have allowed that, and a lot of the politicsters who ordered the sweeps have, done these press conferences where they say ICE is racially profiling people, and meanwhile, their own cops are doing the same thing. Um, and they're targeting these people and making them undocumented,
Yeah.
even if they have documentation.
Mm,
Um, and the same
that's right.
thing with 4118, which is essentially LA's anti-camping law. Um, it is in some ways worse, in certain ways worse than a standard anti-camping law, because it leaves enforcement to the discretion of LAPD. So there can be two people in a anti-camping zone, and they can just decide to target one of them, based on racial profiling, based on any kind of profiling. Um, and so what we're seeing is, you know, both an ethnic cleansing and a class cleansing. And a lot of people see it very clearly from the federal government, but they don't see the ongoing cleansing happening at the local level, that LAPD is carrying out for the politricksters. And
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Yeah. That's yeah. Well, thank you for referring to them as tricksters.
well,
Um,
I've learned so much from you.
but I just wanted to back up a little bit too. It's so deep what you just highlighted, and I feel like I'm always screaming to the rafters on this. I want to shout out to my sister Junebug, who says I'm a quote unquote not a citizen in my so-called own country, whatever. I mean, we already, as poverty scholars, we deconstructed that this, of course, is not our land anyway, so it ain't anybody's country. But just this idea about the removal and the theft of people's so-called identification, right? And the very thing that supposedly ensures you're safe when the police pick you up, stop you, steal your things. I mean, if you've lost everything, and this is so deep, I can tell you as someone has happened to me, and so thank you for naming it. Uh, because someone just took it in your belongings and threw them in a dumpster. It's not only a crushing experience, it's overwhelming. And you basically, these are the things that make us give up. Because you already know, listeners and viewers who maybe don't have this experience, and everybody knows the extreme amount of labor that you have to do just to get these so-called IDs, right? So that's a huge thing. And then even if you're trying to access services now, then the IDs are required to get that crumb of housing, to get that motel room, to get that, so-called food stamp or Medi-Cal. These are all things that have to be there. And so, yeah, they've stolen everything from us. The other thing, I really appreciate you for bringing up the reality. So many of our relatives on the street are from the other sides of the false border. Yeah, we don't necessarily talk about it, obviously, for safety reasons. And it's a very real thing because the same depth of racism, commingled with the classism, is a toxic brew. And really, in essence, what led to the murder of Luis Gongora Pat, and arguably Luis Tomás, who was burned alive for sleeping outside by a neighbor. You know what I mean? So these acts of violence against our houseless bodies have these vast connections that are terrifying. And shout out also to our relatives in Palestine, and Sudan and Haiti, who deal with, the colonial violence, and so then they lose their homes. And there's this endless war on the poor. And these are very much connected dots. We're running out of time, family, but I wanted to make sure that you tell listeners and viewers how they can. I know you've been doing some work on this and how they can kind of see that. Is that on Instascam? Where can they get some more of your framework?
Yeah, that is on Instascam. We've been posting about that. We've been trying to do more political education. We actually, along with Etna Street Solidarity and about 10 other mutual aid groups in the area, just started a mutual aid union. Um,
Ooh,
so we're combining our efforts to work on hopefully some stronger and more in-depth political education. Um, so check that out. We'll be collaborating on different posts. Follow Etna Street Solidarity, of course. And I also just wanted to mention today is the 5-year anniversary of the Echo Park Lake eviction.
mm,
Um, and I hope everyone keeps that in their thoughts. That was a really horrific experience here 5 years ago. A beautiful community was evicted with 400 uh, cops, and yeah, the memory of that
yeah,
community is very special.
yeah. And shout out and lifting up an Ibayeye to Jessica Queen Mendez, one of the sister warrior houseless poor folks that we lost in that war on the poor. And to talk about the connections that you're making right now, so much of that coalesced in that particular eviction, right? So many of our relatives that are surviving in underground economies, surviving in low wage, no wage jobs, were trying to just sleep in that park, which is not a crime. But of course, yeah, when it wanted to be, when they were trying to gentrify it, suddenly it was a crime. Let's not get that twisted either. So the city is complicit in that violent eviction and in the, in the removal of so many of our relatives. Thank you so much for bringing that in and all of the work that you do. LA Street Care, badass work. Shout out to our Edna Street family. We appreciate you so much, hon. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.
All right. You're listening and watching Poor People's Radio. That's PNN, not CNN, family. Um, one of the other things that as we deal with these wars on our lives in our communities is to also, of course, make those connections to globally. We know that relatives in Iran and Palestine and so many other places, Venezuela and other places where this evil United Snakes Americlan government is perpetrating, are also trying to build a massive weapon of distraction. Yes, I did say distraction. And one of the reasons that I called it the Epstein Wars. Dr. Sweet, our incarcerated poor people poverty scholar and graduate of Poor People's Radio Workshop, we're going to play a little excerpt of his recent segment.
Hello, my people. Sweet, coming to you here today from Poor People's Revolutionary Radio, PNN KEXU 96.1 FM. Thank you for joining me here today. The story, the topic. Big cover up. Washington, D.C. The leader, Donald Trump. The Jeffrey Epstein case and the people who are involved in it. I'm here to tell you, back in 2008, there was a plea agreement with Jeffrey Epstein. He should have gotten life. He should have never ever seen the light of day. He should have been doing that time. But he got a sweetheart deal because he had money. Now, this story that I'm covering involves the president, the sitting president, Donald Trump. Yes, he is causing chaos today. He is deflecting from the Epstein case. He has done multiple things. He is taken poor people and thrown them out on the streets with no shelter. He has created wars. It's the cover-up. This is worse than Watergate. His administration is covering up for him. The FBI, ICE is covering up for him. His whole administration, and a lot of them are involved in this cover-up. We want to expose these people. We want justice for the victims, the people who have been assaulted, the people who have been raped, the minors. These are minors. These people are coming out telling stories about Donald Trump today. No one hears us. No one is listening because he's trying to deflect. He's creating these wars. He's talking about going into Cuba now and taking over, doing what he wants. People, we have to stand up to this. We have to let this guy know that you are not above the law.
That part. Dr. Sweet, tell the truth, fam. To watch the whole powerful Dr. Sweet segment, you can go to Poor News Network on YouTube or tune in next time to all of his words coming as a poverty scholar and a survivor himself. Powerful. And just, I know that my opening poem is hard for people to hear. But as a survivor, it's the only way that I can survive this moment. Shout out to Dolores Huerta and Miss Murguia and all the warriors who should be honored every day. To all the survivors who should be honored every day in this moment. That said, I wanted to just give a quick poverty scholarship announcement on April 7th, and it's on an email, T-Boo. You could bring it up, the flyer. On 7 de Abril, April 7th, we will be having the blessing of standing with family of Luis Dimitri Gongarapat, a humble family from Teabo, Yucatan. They don't even speak the other colonizers' language. They speak Mayan, and they've been happily making your burrito and beans and your bougie meals and washing your dishes in all of these gentrifier kitchens, and then lost their relative to this violent gentrification, to this violent racism and classism, the very thing that we were just talking about with our relatives from Devangar. So we have the blessing of honoring the anniversary of Luis Dimitri Gongarapat, 10 years ago murdered by SFPD on April 7th at Artist Television Access. You want to say anything, Mo?
Well, just, again, community, join us. Again, we keep saying that this is more than a movie. It's definitely a ceremony to honor, some of the poverty scholar heroes in the movie at Crushing Wheelchairs, like Luis Gongarapat, and to come and be with us as not only watch this beautiful movie, but also be in ceremony with us as we bring prayers from all four walks of life and honor the life of Luis Gongora. And again, that as long as we keep remembering his name, his memory, he'll be here with us. And so also the family is going to be there. So join us April 7th. And again, lifting up the lives, and the memory of these poverty scholars.
Ashe. It means a lot to the family for folks to show up. We're going to be doing the open ceremony, as my brother said, at 6 o'clock at Artist Television Access, which I think is right there at 21st and Valencia in Occupied Yalamo, Frisco, April 7th at 6 o'clock. Artist Television Access. If you want to get tickets to the movie, it's limited tickets, but there's still a few. You can go to www.poormagazine.org, and right on the front page is the portal to get the tickets. If you just want to stand in ceremony with us, if you've already seen the movie, please come and support the family. It means a lot to them. Again, let's get justice for Luis in any way that we can, if nothing else, to make sure that we never forget his life and his power and his beauty. Oh Mateo. So we're going to end today by talking, briefly get a story about what's happening to our relatives in Hawaii. Um, let's not get it twisted as we are going to show you this short video. I know most people probably know about the floods, but what you may or may not know is that I call it the dolization. All right. So one of these giant corporations who came after, Cook and all those other colonizers was the dole, pineapple and banana and all the other things, all the other extractive agribusiness corporate ways that they take and take and take from Mother Earth, and set up shop and created a dam that really wasn't a strong dam. It was never meant to last. Not only, you know, stealing the waterways and the ways that dams do and the ways that our relatives from the Winnemem Wintu tribe and other First Nations folks talk about, even the abuse of dams themselves. But this dam was very similar to our relatives in Seminole country, aka so-called Louisiana, and what happened in Katrina. Very, very much about the negligence of the corporate extractive industries. So it's also about climate change. That's what's happening to our communities in island nations across Mother Earth. Shout out to the Pacifica and all the warriors who are fighting back and saying, we're not drowning, we're fighting. Shout out to Fui and Loa and others. But we're going to just bring you a little bit. And then also our family, Tony Robles and his father and some other relatives are in Hawaii, and they're dealing with this firsthand. We can't play their video today because it didn't work out, but we will be playing it next Poor People's Radio. Can you bring up this short? For any of you who are not watching but listening, it's unprecedented. Floods are happening, and they basically wiped out, in many ways, a large part of Oahu. The evacuation orders have receded because some of the rains are going down. But what I want to shout out is that also the community in Hawaii are all supporting. It's a beautiful show that we don't got anybody else but ourselves. So shout out to neighbors and community who've been throwing down and supporting each other. And tune in next week, and we will have the interview from Tony Robles of one of those community centers, who is consistently always there for the people, by the people.
Again, support anywhere you can. And so that's all for this edition of Poor People's Radio. To get your complete podcast, you can go to Poor Magazine on SoundCloud or poormagazine.org or whatever you get your podcast from. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, Blue Sky, at Poor Magazine, or at Poverty Scholar, or on Poor News Network on YouTube. All power to the people.
Power! Thank you, family, so
Keep fighting,
much.
people. Keep
Power.
fighting. Keep resisting.
Thank you, family. Oh my